Alright, let's walk through this together in a calm, neutral way, no shouting, no finger pointing, just the facts and the atmosphere on the ground. So, across the country this weekend, you'll see demonstrations popping up in towns and cities, places like Bristol, Exeter, Liverpool, Newcastle, Aberdeen, Perth, and even smaller spots like Mold in Wales. The message from protesters is clear: they want the asylum system changed, and they're calling for an end to the use of hotels for housing people while their claims are processed.
Clear commitment that we're going to close all of the asylum hotels. That was a manifesto commitment that we stood on and we will honour. We're clearing up the legacy that we inherited from the previous government, but the closures of these hotels need to be done in an ordered and managed way. Well, this government...
But it's not just one group out there. Counter-protests are also being organised, this time by campaigners who say the focus should be on defending the rights of asylum seekers and standing up to racism. That means in many of these cities, you'll find two very different crowds facing off, both determined to make their voices heard. At the center of all this is the debate about asylum hotels. Right now, there are more than 32,000 people living in them, which is a rise compared to the year before. Some councils aren't happy about it. One in Essex even went to the High Court to...
I think that's entirely the wrong decision. I mean, this was a victory for local people, so the government's just not listening. People do not want these hotels in their local area, and what they actually want is a deterrent putting back in place, like we had with the Rwanda deterrent, which would stop these crossings in the first place. That's what the government needs to re-implement.
The hotels in its area being used, and while they won an injunction, the government is appealing that decision. Then comes the political layer. Nigel Farage, now leading Reform UK, has promised what he calls mass deportations if his party wins the next election. He's talking about 5 flights a day, and even leaving international agreements like the European Convention on Human Rights to make that possible. Critics, though, say the numbers don't add up, and that the plan sounds more like a headline than a practical policy. The government's response has been firm. Labour ministers point to figures showing 35,000 people removed from the UK in the last year, more, they say, than under the previous Conservative government. Their pledge is to end hotel use entirely by 2029. Meanwhile, the Conservatives accuse Farage of borrowing their old ideas, pointing out that even he once suggested such mass removals weren't realistic. So, what does all this mean for you watching? Well, it shows how central asylum and immigration are in politics right now, not just in Westminster, but on the streets, in towns, and in communities. You've got people who are angry, people who are worried, and people who are standing up for those caught in the middle. And that's why today's demonstrations matter. They're not just about hotels, they're about bigger questions of who we are as a country, what responsibility we take on internationally, and how we balance fairness with security. Now I'll turn it over to you. Do you think mass deportations are the answer, or should the focus be on reforming the asylum process in a different way?